For the third year running, Insomniac Games has put together another game in its Ratchet Clank series. This installment, Up Your Arsenal, doesn't reinvent the game's single-player mechanics. Instead, it makes incremental changes to things like weapons, locales, and so on, while wrapping it all up in a new story. It also adds a neat, objective-based multiplayer mode that can be played by up to 8 players online. All in all, Ratchet Clank Up Your Arsenal is great fun, combining some solid platforming action with a lot of exciting combat. For those of you who haven't been following the series, Ratchet & Clank is a combat-focused platformer that gives you a lot of wild weapons to play with. You play as Ratchet, some sort of big-eared alien thing, and Clank, his robot companion. For the most part, Clank sticks to Ratchet's back, but from time to time the duo will separate and you'll take control of Clank by himself. The action in the game is fairly standard for a platform game, with a lot of jumping around and destroying things with a wrench attack, or any number of collectible weapons. Most of the weapons fall into pretty standard categories. You have a grenade launcher, a standard rapid-fire shot weapon, and a shotgun. You'll also be able to create tiny black holes, emit deadly bolts of electricity, turn enemies into sheep, and snipe enemies from a distance. Some weapons fall into support roles, like the ability to create turrets, summon a batch of robots to attack foes, or even create small shields to hide behind. Weapons also gain experience and features as you use them. The 5 different levels of a weapon may just make it more powerful, but some weapons gain the ability to induce shock damage, lock-on capabilities, and various other upgrades. This variety gives you a lot of different ways to take on the opposition, but you'll find that the standard weapons like the shotgun and machine gun equivalents are definitely the most useful. But the world falls into peril once again, this time from an evil robot named Dr. Nefarious, and the duo spring into action to stop the Mad Doctor before his plan to turn all organic life forms into robots comes to fruition. Along the way, you'll join up with the ever-popular Captain Quark, his creepy-looking one-eyed monkey, and a cast of characters new and old that assemble the Q-Force, Quark's new squad devoted to fighting Nefarious. The single-player mode will keep you busy for a good amount of time, especially if you devote yourself to completing all of the optional challenges. The game tosses in a handful of optional combat scenarios at you throughout the course of the game. These operations are broken up into multiple parts, and in them you'll be fighting alongside a set of boneheaded robots as they fight to drive out the enemy horde. You'll also be given an opportunity to compete in a Running Man-like game show called Annihilation Nation. While you'll have to visit the show for story-related reasons, you can also go back there and compete in a series of challenges. These missions may be optional, but they're pretty fun, and more importantly give you a lot of bolts, which is the currency used to purchase things like new armor and weapons. While the single-player feels at times like a mission pack for Ratchet Clank 2 instead of an entirely new adventure, the all-new development efforts clearly went into Up Your Arsenal's multiplayer component. Multiplayer allows you to play games in 3 different modes: Deathmatch, Capture the Flag, and Siege. Deathmatch and Capture the Flag are pretty much what you would expect. Siege, however, is a bit more involved. Essentially, it's a smaller-scale take on Unreal Tournament 2004's Onslaught mode, and the game gives each side a base and populates the rest of the map with a series of neutral nodes. Capturing these nodes, which is done by using your wrench to turn a gigantic bolt at the center of each node, puts that outpost's turrets on your side and also delivers occasional items and vehicles. Plus, you can also spawn from any node that your team controls should you die. The object is to destroy the opposing team's base defenses, make your way inside their base, and eliminate its power source. Doing so ends the game. While Siege mode won't feel too new to players who've played the similar mode in UT 2004, this is the first time such a mode has found its way onto the PlayStation 2. And though it isn't the most logical progression for the series, the multiplayer works well and is pretty fun. You can play multiplayer games either on a 4-way split screen or online with up to 8 participants. Graphically, Ratchet & Clank continues to be a series that brings out the best in the PlayStation 2 hardware. While some of the game's more extreme explosions cause noticeable slowdown, the game usually stays right up around the 60 frames per second mark, delivering nice, smooth action. The character models all look great, and in the game's cutscenes, they animate and express very, very well. The game's bright, colorful look permeates each of its environments, and generally speaking, the game looks absolutely superb from top to bottom. The game also has support for widescreen displays and progressive scan setups, which enhances the look of the game a bit. Up Your Arsenal does a superb job with its sound effects. Many of these effects are returning from the previous games, but the weapon sound effects have a great amount of punch to them, making them sound even more powerful than some of them really are. The cutscenes are heavy on the voice work, and the actors and actresses doing lines for the game all do some excellent work here, which really helps to make the game's story more entertaining. Fitting a team-based shooter into a platformer might not seem like a great fit at first, but when taken as a total package, Ratchet & Clank Up Your Arsenal is an excellent game. The single-player action is true to the previous games, almost to a fault, while the multiplayer mode is a fun diversion that adds a lot of replay value to an otherwise one-time adventure. If you're a fan of the series, there's plenty more to see here, but even if you're just getting started with the Ratchet & Clank games, Up Your Arsenal's full feature list makes it a great place to start.